Hey guys, this is Jesse with Prosper Theory. Hope everything's going well for you. Today I would like to go over the 7 questions to ask yourself when choosing a niche. Choosing a niche is a pretty big deal. I mean, everything that you do, all your work and effort is going to go within this topic or subtopic, so it's kind of important to take a little bit of time and think it through beforehand. These 7 questions are not by any means exhaustive, but these are 7 things to just put in your notebook and think of when you're going to choose a niche. And there's a lot of other things that you can also take into consideration too, but these 7 are good. It'll get you started in the right direction anyway. So number 1, can you target the market? So this kind of comes down to not being too broad. As far as, like if you was to compare, say you was wanting to sell shoes or you was wanting to talk about shoes, it's a really broad category because you got women's shoes, you got men's shoes, you got children's shoes, you got dress shoes, you've got running shoes, you've got cross-training shoes. You get the idea. So it's a pretty broad market, but say, if your market's going to be men's running shoes, then that's going to be a lot more targeted. The audience that you're talking to. So you're able to relate and you're able to pass on information that's pertinent to them, not every shoe wearer on the planet, because that would be kind of tough. So just make sure you can target your market ahead of time with whatever niche you choose. If you feel like it's awkward or questionable to try and target that market to where it's just, you can't really see. It's like, who is this market? Go on to something else. There's thousands and thousands of different niches that you could choose, so don't spend a lot of time trying to make something work. Find something that has a lot of potential from the get-go. Number 2, are you familiar with the topic? This isn't a deal breaker, whether you are or not. If you are familiar, you're going to be able to hit the ground running, so to speak, a little better, but just because you're not familiar with something, don't hinder away from it, because it doesn't take a lot to gain knowledge. I mean, the internet is just a plethora of information, endless amounts of topics and subjects. So anything you want to learn, you can pretty much find online. So if there's something that interests you, but you don't know much about it, just study up on it and see if you can get familiar with the topic and comfortable with it in, fairly short time span. It might be worth going ahead and building upon. But if you are familiar with it, like I said, you're going to hit the ground running. You're going to have an advantage over someone who's not familiar with it. So something to consider either way. Number 3, is it evergreen? This just pretty much boils down to, if it's fireworks, that's going to be kind of tough to where you can sell them around 4th of July. Here in America, you can sell them around 4th of July, and in some areas you can sell them around New Year's Eve. But otherwise, they're not allowed. So you would have those couple targeted at times, but generally you're going to be better off with something like going back to the men's running shoes. I mean, they can run year-round. They can exercise year-round. So it's something that isn't in and out through the year. And it's also like don't target an older cell phone or something that's not being talked about anymore, or even a cell phone in general is only going to take you so far, and then they're going to come out with a new one, so whatever content, everything you've done would just be buried underneath the new iPhone or whatever it may be. So you're just looking for something, the topic's still going to be relevant tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and there's tons to choose from, so don't let that hold you up. Number 4, how will you monetize? There's several ways to monetize pretty much anything. It's a good idea to think of it beforehand because it might help sculpt your plan a certain way. So, whether you're going to be making an ebook or whether you're, selling advertising on your site, or whether you run AdSense or sell affiliate products or whatever it is, put some thought in beforehand of how you're going to monetize. And this doesn't necessarily mean to come out of the gate trying to make money. It just means that you know what you'll do once, you know what steps you're going to take after you get your content up and start building a following. Number 5, are there other relevant niches? This will go back to the shoe thing. Like if your niche was shoe, that itself would be tough. But say you can go after men's red running shoes, men's blue running shoes, women's running shoes, children's play shoes. So there are several in the shoe category. There are several different topics. Each topic will need to be a specialty, so to speak, for you to be able to rank or have any following, because that's, Google ranks by pages, not by website. So your website may be about the mountains in Colorado, but if you have a page within that site that is on men's running shoes and everything is, it jives with being a relevant and, a good quality site in Google's eyes, you're going to rank even though it's on Mountains of Colorado website. So they rank by pages, not by the whole site. So just allow yourself some lateral movement as far as relevant niches go. It definitely, later you kick yourself if you don't have anywhere to go with something that's taken off for you. So look for other relevant niches in whatever you're thinking about doing. How's the competition? Competition's important because it gives you an idea. You need competition because that means that the product is the product or service or the topic is serviceable in that you have products that people are interested in. Otherwise, nobody would be marketing it. There would be no competition. So if it says free or something in front of it, there's not going to be a lot of competition there. Now there is ways to work it, but that's a totally different story. But you want some competition, but at the same time you don't want like Amazon competition or Google competition. You don't want you don't want to be going up against the big guys out of the gate, but you do want some competition. It's kind of a balancing point, but generally you just want to niche it down to where there is enough people looking, searching for this product or service or information on a monthly basis that's worth doing, but you don't want that number to be any bigger than it has to be, if that makes sense. So kind of get familiar with the competition. And number 7, is there a need for content? The one thing that you definitely don't want to do is come running out of the gate and you've got a great product and you've wrote a couple of articles and then bam, there's nothing else to write about on the topic. It's just like Easter egg basket. If you targeted an Easter egg basket, you're going to run out of information. Not to say it won't work as an e-commerce situation or whatever, but there's only so much you can write about an Easter basket. So that's a little too targeted, I guess you would say. So you just want to make sure ahead of time that you're going to be able to write about it for a long time and maybe branch out to relevant niches later, but you want to be able to have content because, if there's not much to talk about, nobody's going to be looking for your stuff. It's just that simple. If there's no questions to be asked, then nobody's going to be looking for answers. So make sure there's enough material that needs to be written or enough questions that are being asked that it's worth pursuing. But anyway, this is 7 questions to ask yourself when choosing a niche. Hopefully this has shed some light on it. And if you got any questions or comments, feel free to post below. If you like what I'm doing here, comment, subscribe, whatever you can do to encourage me to make more videos. Thanks again for watching, and I hope this helps. Have a great day.